What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. And before I start this video, I really need you guys to watch this whole video to understand the entire timeline of what I'm going to be discussing here. If you only catch parts of this video, then you're not going to understand the big picture. And I do respect your opinion. I want to talk about this in a live stream as well, so that way we can go back and forth if you have a different opinion. But what I do ask is even if you have to watch this video over the course of the next few days, please take the time out to watch the whole video, because I'm going to be talking about why what's going on in the world right now impacted the Toronto Maple Leafs and other cap teams, if you want me to talk about other teams, but other teams that were close to the cap, how what's going on right now affected them a lot. And I say this all the time. Hockey is the least of my worries when it comes to what's going on right now. I want the world to be in a better place. You know, obviously health-wise and financially. I care more about, you know, people in their everyday life than a game of hockey. So if you care more about hockey, then this isn't the video for you, or this isn't the person that's talking for you. I am a hockey fan. I bleed blue and white. I love my Toronto Maple Leafs, but there's bigger things going on right now. But because this is a hockey channel, I want to talk about why the Toronto Maple Leafs cap situation definitely took a massive hit from what's going on right now. And this has been something that I've wanted to do for a long time. It's a video that I've wanted to make for a long time, because there is a big misconception of why Kyle Dubas spent so much money on 4 forwards. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some overpayments on those contracts, but what you're seeing now with other teams is that other players are also getting a ton of money, and they're having to move good players out of their system. Like look at the Vancouver Canucks, for instance, right? They have a lot of young guys coming up, and that's good. But because of bad contracts to older players, they couldn't hold on to good talent. They couldn't hold on to Markstrom. They couldn't hold on to Tanev. They couldn't hold on to Toffoli. They couldn't keep Josh Levo as a depth piece because they had bad contracts attached to players that were older, slower, and didn't put up points. The Maple Leafs are spending a lot of money on guys that are money in the bank to give you 60 plus points every single year. That's a much better situation to be in, and I keep explaining this. But the main part of this video is to explain why the NHL salary cap would have been going up by a lot in the next few years, and the Maple Leafs more than likely would have been completely fine. But people seem to ignore that. They want to look at this, you know, pandemic that's going on, and I can't say that too much in this video because YouTube demonetizes that if you talk about it, which is ridiculous. But you'd think they'd want you to talk about it. But literally, the Leafs cap situation got just absolutely kicked in the nuts by what's going on right now. And again, I'm going to say, hockey's not that important. But if you do have it as an importance, the Leafs got kicked in the nuts, to say the least. And they would have had a lot more money to work with, and a much better team to work with had this not happened, of course. So I'm going to bring up an article that shows how the NHL salary cap was supposed to go this year before whatever's going on right now happened, and the Leafs would have been able to spend more money. And that's the reason why Kyle Dubas got those big contracts out of the way, was because he knew that all this money was going to be coming in, and that the Leafs more than likely had a lot of breathing room and were able to add. I mean, look at this offseason. People said the Leafs were going to have to trade a big name player. I mean, you can call Nazem Kadri a huge player last year, and he was my favorite player, but they didn't trade Tavares, they didn't trade Matthews, they didn't trade Nylander, they didn't trade Marner, and they upgraded on their blue line. They got more depth, they got tougher. Maybe this team isn't as good as you want it to be, but it could have been better with a better salary cap situation. So let's look at this article here. This was from March 4th of 2020. So Bill Daly, the commissioner of the NHL deputy commissioner, told general managers that the salary cap was supposed to go up to around $84 million. So the projection was anywhere between 84 to 88.2. Now, to be fair, in the video that I prepared here, I just put it at 84. I said that, okay, let's be reasonable here. It said that it was going to go up to 84 from 81.5 to 88. And now we do know now that it didn't go up at all because of what's going on in the world right now. But it was supposed to go up between 84 to $88 million. So I took the low end of that and said, let's be real. The NHL probably is going to have an $84 million cap. So that's what this this season was supposed to be. So the Leafs this offseason would have had $84 million to work with. Now, this is the other thing I want to bring up. So let's just say this season was $84 million. Well, at the end of this season, and again, let's just pretend none of this stuff is going on in the world right now. Everything's fine. Fans are going to be in the arenas, the NHL, and everything is normal. And the salary cap went up from 81.5 to $84 million. Well, after this season, there's definitely going to be another increase. Why? Because of two reasons. One, because the Seattle franchise was going to be coming into the league. They were going to start generating revenue for the NHL. Everything around what Vegas did helped the league. They made more money when Vegas came in. Seattle was going to do the exact same thing, but there's a big thing that people are forgetting that also was going to happen, and that's that the NHL TV deal was going to be over. The NHL TV deal was going to have to be renegotiated. So they signed a 10-year, $2 billion deal in U.S. funds, so a lot more in Canadian funds, that was going to expire at the end of this season, the 2020-21 campaign. So after this, let's just say it's now we're living in 2021. The TV deal is up. Seattle's coming in. The salary cap is going to go up from 84 to possibly anywhere in the 86 to $90 million range. And I would put it right in the middle at 88 to 89. So now you're looking at within 2 years, the NHL was going to go from $81.5 million to nearly $90 million on the salary cap. That is the difference between having, one decent player that you can add to your team or one good player. And then you could, instead of that, you could add two good players and a young, talented player to add to your roster. Or you can make trades from your other talent and end up with three good players. That money is a lot of money. The Leafs would have had money for Morgan Rielly. They probably could have renegotiated with Zach Hyman. You have to deal with Freddie Anderson. They could have worked all around that. They could have traded deals away. There's a bunch of different options that they had, and that's why I wanted to also show you this. So this is how the NHL salary cap has gone up every single year. The 18-19 season, the 17-18 to 18-19 went up from 75 to 79.5, which was a good increase, and then the 18-19 to 19-20 went up to 81.5, so another increase there. So this number here obviously is now the same, but it was supposed to be around 84 to 85 million, and who knows, it could have been higher than that. It could have been 86, right? Because it was supposed to be anywhere between 84 to 88. But this is the thing I wanted to show you guys. This, and I'm going to increase this maybe. Let's just see if this works better. So this is what I did. So let's just say the Leafs this offseason had $84 million to work with here. This number instead of 81.5. Hyman, Matthews, Marner, they're still on the team. Nylander, Tavares, Mikheyev, you're re-signing him. That all stays the same. You still have the option to bring in Jimmy Vesey. You're still keeping Alex Kerfoot for depth. You're still trading away Kasperi Kapanen, so he's gone because the Leafs got a first-round pick and a good prospect, so that deal is still happening. You're still able to keep Wayne Simmons. You still have Barabanov. You have the option of bringing up Pierre Engvall now because you have more money to work with, and he's a better depth piece than just bringing in, another guy. And then you have Jason Spezza filling out that fourth line. So this team here, sure, it's probably a little better if you have Johnsson and Kapanen, but the Leafs also still have cap space here. That doesn't look like a lot, but I'll show you why they still would have more. And over the course of the season, towards the trade deadline, you can accumulate cap space and you'd still be good. You could trade an Engvall. You could trade a Simmons if it doesn't work out. You could get rid of a Jimmy Vesey. You could send a Barabanov down. They would have options. You would be able to move guys around. Hell, if Mikheyev didn't work out, you could find another place for him. They had a ton of options if the money went up. Looking at the blue line, you still have Morgan Rielly. You obviously still had the money to sign TJ Brody. You have Jake Muzzin. Mackenzie Weegar. That's the deal that Florida signed him to, 3.25 for another 3 years. Now, the trade that I made here was sending Justin Hall, a second-round pick, and a fifth for Mackenzie Weegar. Now, it was reported that he was on the chopping block in Florida. They obviously signed him, but you're giving them a cheaper defenseman, a high pick, and an additional pick. You also could throw in a prospect in there, or you could replace the fifth-round pick with a prospect. whatever you want to do, this trade, no matter how you look at it, the Leafs could have made it, even if it took a first, which it wouldn't. But the Leafs could have made this deal easily and added another really good defenseman to that lineup. You would have Mikko Lehtinen still, and you would still have Travis Dermott. Your scratches would be Zach Bogosian because you could still afford him as well. And you also would still have Joe Thornton. Now, the Leafs did say that they wouldn't carry 2 extras. There was even talk of them not carrying any extras. But with, the rosters, how they are, and with the cap going up and there not being, a global pandemic going on, I keep saying the word, but I shouldn't. They could have kept both these guys here, or they could have, maybe they don't even sign Bogosian and they just have a Rasmus Sandin or a Timothy Liljegren in this spot. Or like I said, you just keep all these guys. You have this talent. You still have room to improve because you have guys that you can trade. You could probably work in an Andreas Janssen or a Kapanen into this lineup, depending on who you move out. And maybe you don't get Weegar. You just keep Justin Hall. There's a bunch of different reasons. And also the reason why this trade makes sense is because Florida wanted to cut money. So, they would have saved while also acquiring picks for the future. So that probably would have made sense. But the depth would have still been there. You still have Hallander in the Kapanen trade. You still have Boyd. You still have Joey Anderson. You still have Korshkov, Malgin. You still have all of this depth. Patan, Augustino. Then when you come to the blue line, you still have Liljegren, Duzak, Hollowell, Kivihalme, Rosen, Robertson, Marinson, as much as people don't like him, even if he's like a 10th guy available, you're still able to sign guys like Hutchinson and Dell to mentor these guys or be 3rd and 4th string goaltenders for your team. The Leafs had so many more options if the salary cap would have went up. And I'm just sick and tired of seeing, the Leafs really screwed themselves. Sure, they could have had better contracts on those top 4 guys. Let's be real, they could have. Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander. You could have had better deals. I still like the Nylander contract. Matthews, I think, got paid what a star gets paid in this league, and what will continue to get paid like a star in this league. Tavares took a pay cut to come to Toronto, even though it was a luxury the Leafs didn't have to have. And Marner got overpaid by probably $1 million. But again, I keep trying to explain I don't like the contracts 100%, but I'm also not the type of person to sit here and act like I don't see the other side of what was going on. The Leafs did not, and any team in the league, and you watching this, no matter what you say, did not predict that what's happening right now was going to happen. Nobody's seen it coming. We only started to see it coming when it happened. Okay? Nobody predicted, you know what, next year, there's going to be something that takes over the entire world. Everybody's going to get sick, and the NHL and the NBA and all these leagues are going to be screwed money-wise, and nobody predicted that. Nobody. And if you did, then you're a genius. But I'm sorry, everybody watching this, you did not predict that. I know that there's 2 sides to everything. The Leafs overpaid for some players, but I also seen why they overpaid for those players, why they did that, because teams were lining up to offer sheet Austin Matthews when he was coming available. So you got to get that contract done. William Nylander refused to even talk to teams about an offer sheet. Again, people seem to ignore that fact as well. Nylander basically said, I'm a Toronto Maple Leaf. I'm not even going to talk about that. So technically the Leafs had a little bit of leverage there, but his deal is good. Nylander's deal is perfectly fine, especially if the cap went up. That deal would have looked beautiful with an $84 million salary cap. And people say, they paid him $10 million. No, his cap hit is $6.9 million. He got money that was put up front. He's not a $10 million player. He's a $6.9 million player. The Leafs wanted to make sure that they had these guys locked up, so that way when the salary cap did go up, they had room to fix the rest of their roster and improve, while also having 4 amazing players up front that they don't have to worry about. Their first 2 lines are basically set in stone because you've got 4 great players on those 2 lines. So again, I just want people to see that there's 2 sides to everything, and that while the Leafs still might have, even with what I showed you, not the most money, instead of getting 1 defenseman, they could have got 2 really good defensemen. They could have still upgraded their goaltending depth. They could have still upgraded their defensive depth. They still could have upgraded their forward depth. There was a lot more money. Like $3.5 million or whatever it is a lot of money. And then going from 84 to possibly 88 the next season, Guys, that's a big difference. It's a very big difference. And this is what the reality would have been. Maybe the Leafs would have taken a shot at a bigger name. Who knows? What if Pietrangelo could have considered the Leafs? Right? Instead of signing Brody and Weegar, you just go after Pietrangelo and you fill the rest with your other guys. There's a lot more options. So if you are new, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. I do appreciate you guys as always. Make sure to comment down below what you think. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.